just a little bit of a couple of stocks that I kind of traded and all that, plus the alerts and stuff. CEP over, oh damn, look at that. CEP, lot of play, $59 from yesterday's 44 and dips down to 38. It's a very nice move over here. I don't think we're done, right? But take your profits accordingly. Let's see, because the thing is right now we are all-time highs, right? So we're not too you ask me what the next few levels are. The thing is I don't know. Okay, because we are at all-time highs. All right. So the first one today is going to be Zcar. All right. The first one today is going to be Zcar. Now, Zcar in after hours, or sorry, in pre-market had this amazing move over here. Now, generally speaking, when we see a very overinflated move on a ticker that doesn't have any sort of news, right? We want to be a little bit more careful. We at least don't want to be chasing into this pump over here. We want to at least see some pullbacks. Sometimes these plays don't get pullbacks and they continue making the next leg up, but it's not a guarantee, right? Some plays may just do this and go all the way down. So what's important is that you respect the setup that you have. Okay, if the play just continues going up and doesn't respect your setup, right? Then obviously you don't have to chase that. Okay. Again, you can make your money off a 10-cent move and another ticker. You don't have to chase this move over here. Right? Imagine if you were to chase this over here at 960 and then it drops all the way down to 780s. That's gonna hurt, right? So but the thing is this thing is definitely special because you see yesterday, right? If you look at the chart yesterday, there is a bit of loading action over here for Zcar. Not sure if you guys noticed this, but there is a bit of loading action over here for Zcar. All right. And then once volume started coming in, which confirms the breakout move, right? This shit just went all the way to $10. Pretty crazy. Okay, right. So now what's interesting is since this has made such an overinflated move, right? We want to be able to kind of look at we want to be able to kind of look at, what are the things that we have or what are the things that we could, play off, right? At least off potential pullbacks, right? So this is where you go back to the daily chart again. Now, if you look at the daily chart right over here, okay, there's not a whole lot of levels to use, obviously, because this thing gapped up way too much. You look at what's happening in the 1 minute, this thing is at what, around the 960 something level. So if you go back to the daily chart over here, it doesn't make sense, all right? It doesn't make sense for me to be using levels at let's see a second, to be using levels at $4, to be using levels at $5, right? Because it's not applicable at all. It's completely far away. So I need to look at the higher set of levels right here, right? So over here, right, for me, we have a volume imbalance. All right, we have one volume imbalance setup right here. And then over here, we have 1030 right here. We have a price action separation for Zcar. Okay, right. So these are the few levels that I'm going to be working with. At least if I were to go back, if I were to mark this down, I'll go back to the 1 minute chart. Okay, right. These are the few levels I'm going to be working with. Right. So you can see I have a 1030 level, which is where the price action separation begins, right? And you can see that, right? And then I have the volume imbalance as well, which price did subjectively bounced off initially. Okay, but again, this thing still needs to pull back, right? There is a lot of remaining buy orders that might still be sitting here that price might try to gravitate towards. So we wait for the pullback to go down. So once the pullback goes down, over here we started forming a nice little hit. Okay, all right. And then I thought we're going to be forming a shoulder over here. So this is where I wanted to kind of alert the entries over here at 830s. But this thing popped up way too high. By the time I was finished typing, right, this thing was already at 840s, 860s. So obviously, I'm not going to be telling you guys I'm in at 830s and, when this thing's at 860s, right? It's not going to be, fair for you guys. So the next key level breakout for me is going to be 910, which is the volume imbalance, right? 910, which is the volume imbalance right here. Remember we drew this on the daily chart? You guys remember that? Oh shit, what the fuck? Remember we drew this on the daily chart? Second. So much range on this. It went crazier today, but we'll see. Right, we see this? Yeah, this gray box over here, this is my volume imbalance on the daily, right? So price was respecting that for a bit, right? Price was expecting that for a bit, and then once we broke through that 910 level, which is exactly what the first alert, right? First alert was right here, 910 breakout. Stopped on the 870. Why? 910 breakout, stop under 8. Oh, I say 870 was because over here we had a nice base. So I'm trying to respect. I know the daily volume balance bottom is at 880, but I need to kind of incorporate that 1 minute action in as well, right? Which we can clearly see that the 870 was holding up pretty well. So 910 breakout, stop on 870. Over here, once you broke out the candle over here, take your entries on the next candle, have your stop loss on 870. We got a beautiful move to 1030, right? Well, went to 1050s, but we couldn't have a candle close over 1030, right? Because this is our daily price action separation zone, right? For Zcar. So this is where you guys ask, how do I know right here, see that, yeah? So how do I know, how do I know like when to sell, when to blah blah blah, I should have held, blah blah, all this kind of stuff, right? That's not a good mindset to have. Okay, in another situation, what could have happened is that price could have hit this 1030 level and then flush all the way down and open. That could be a possibility. And you don't want to be that one person that didn't take profits just because of uh you wanting to hit that big move. Always remember this, guys, right? Your job as a day trader is not to catch the 500% movers. That's not your goal. Okay, if your goal is to do that, right? Every single day for the past 3 days or 4 days, you're going to be red because you keep aiming for that goal. That is not what you should be doing. Our goal is just to hit our targets, respect the chart, trade the setup. That's it, right? Now, obviously, I do say you don't have to uh oh, there we go, kids. Right, you don't have to sell everything. You know that this is a rejection level, right? And if price goes back down and shows significant strength, right? So on this way up, we hope to see a breakout of 15, the breakout of that level for more, right? Kind of the same way as to how Zcar, had a very nice move just now, right? Price went up over here over the 1420, went to $15, and you see over here we can hope for price to break through 15. In another timeline, if Kits was not running today, there's a chance that this thing could have break 15 and go crazy, make new highs. But the thing is, you still have to respect the rejection level, right? You still have to take profits over here. Okay, so see right over here for I told you guys, right, 5.15 and $6 the next two levels for kids. So just take your profits accordingly. So over here, I have to take my profits. Right, price pushed up, very nice. We started basing very nicely on this 1030 level. Going to open, you can see there is a bit of leakage over here, right? But it's fine because morning volatility is there. But ultimately, we held to the 1030 level and then boom. Right, do I know it's gonna hit 18? Obviously not. Okay, but at least I did not lose my 50 EMA. I did not lose my 20 EMA trend line. Right, you can continue riding it all the way up until it sort of kind of break down. That's where you can be like, okay, now the momentum is resetting. Right, maybe I might be able to see a EOD move, but I have to close it off right now because it might not give me EOD move. Right, when you see a chart like that, you cannot assume that, right? You cannot assume that this is going to go down and then EOD go up like that. You can't assume that, right? There's a chance that this thing could have just went down and then go down like that, right? And especially when you're already in green, right? You want to secure your profits and then see what happens. If this thing started to go back up EOD, try it again. It's just like how we did with Kits, right? If this thing started to go up EOD and show strength, try it again, right? But ultimately speaking, when you see a setup like that break down, okay, you cannot assume that this is going to go up EOD until it shows you some form of, bounces, consolidation, reversal, then fine. You make your judgment based on the situation unfolding, right? You cannot assume just because it breaks down, right? This thing will definitely guarantee to go back up, right? Because sometimes these plays can just completely dump all the way down. I don't really have a good example of what of that is. Okay, let's take DRCT, right? You guys thought 123, this thing is gonna go crazy. Did it go crazy? Didn't really do much of anything, right? What else? What is one ticker that went super hard today? HCTI, right? You thought that this was gonna go crazy, right? You go down. You thought this is gonna go crazy. No, you have to wait. You have to. We talked about this yesterday. You gotta spend time, let the market flow, then make your decision from there. The more information you have, the more time you let the market trade, right? You let the price action play out. The more information you have, the better decision you'll make. That's it. Okay. So okay, so there is that for kids. Sorry for Zcar. So on at this point, once you've hit that target over here, very, very nice. All you have to do is just enjoy the ride up. I do not like to trade multiple times, as I mentioned. I like to ride the trend, right? Maximize the usage of the money you put inside your trade, because you know you don't want to be inside the trade, take 10 cents, and then try to get back in again, take another 10 cents and stuff, right? Go in, find a good position, enjoy the move up. We take profits the way up, and then let the market do the work. All right, at least this way you maximize the efficiency um for in the long run. Rutul, I'm not sure what you're talking about, right? But stay here, please, because I think there might be a little bit of misconception over here as to what you're doing, and that's very dangerous. All right, but stay here. I'm gonna address this later, after I'm done with this. Okay, so there's that, right? Okay, so next one is gonna be kids. Now, kids is an impressive move today. Okay, anyone of you guys over here know why this was or this kind of did what it did today? Can any one of you guys over here, can you guys sort of, draw some conclusion, or give me some historical patterns or whatever the case is? I know, I mean, this is definitely a short squeeze, but why? As in, why did it make this move or whatnot? Okay, so for me, right, why I took this as a play today, or rather why I took it as a play. I think I gave you guys multiple times over here. 30% entries over here in the morning, right? Re-added after that again and re-added after again. So 3 times all worked out well, right? Um, but why was this, kind of like a very, very big, play today? Now, it's because of the catalyst. What the fuck is this? All right. It's because of the catalyst. Now, I'm not sure if you guys remember, but last week, right, or 2 weeks ago, I can't remember, there was this one play that had Solana Treasury at its PR. Was it UPXI? Do you guys remember that? Was it UPXI? I think it was UPXI, right? No, no, it wasn't CEP. It was UPXI, isn't it? Right? Upexi raised $100 million to expand crypto ventures. You guys remember that? Right? It was What the fuck? What are you saying? AZTR is UPXI. Have you guys forgotten this move over here for UPXI? Look at this. You guys forgotten this move? $2 to $22 in one day. How can you forget about this? Right? So you see, and if you guys remember, what was this move on? Right? It raised offering to expand, right? Or to kind of start a um to build, right? UPXI prices $100 million secondary offering. So they did an offering to what? Right? They did the offering is the first part of the news, which is not good. To, okay, build Solana Treasury. And that shit went up. Offering to build Solana Treasury. So you guys look at kids today. What was the PR for kids today? What do you guys think? What was the PR for kids today, guys? Classover secures $400 million facility for investment in Solana, right? Or right here, you can see that in the morning PR, what it says. Okay. Classover Holdings, KITS, enters into a $400 million equity purchase facility agreement to what? Launch Solana-based treasury strategy. Similar to UPXI, isn't it? Because of that news, UPXI went from $2 to $22, right? KITS, a fairly new ticker in the market, right? This is why it's doing this. Obviously, there is no 100% like, oh, this is me, Solana is going to go crazy. But from then to now, have we got any sort of Solana PR that went crazy? No. Okay, so just because this thing has Solana PR doesn't mean it's going to be good. But if you look at this flow over here, you can't ignore it, right? You cannot ignore it. Have you guys forgot? If you guys haven't forgotten about UPXI move, that's crazy, because that shit went from $2 to $22. You can't forget about that. And you see, that happened when I was in China, right? I did not trade that because I couldn't do it, right? But this is why being in the market every single day, even if you're not trading, is very important, because it helps you to understand what moves the market, right? What the market favors, right? And what is actually getting stocks to move. If you're just gonna come in without any sort of preparation and stuff, right? Hoping that you can just randomly luck, out of luck, get some good trades, you can. Luck one way or another will hit you, right? But it's not consistent in the long run. Maybe today you're lucky, tomorrow you're not lucky, you give everything back, you're back to square one. You're right. You wasted this sort of move that kids did, right? And again, we don't see moves like this every single day. Oh, one second, you guys don't see the chart. Oh, you guys will see the chart. 1 second. Sorry. All right. So again, right, UPXI, right? We talk about UPXI over here. All right. You see that? You guys see this move over here? UPXI, right? If you read the news before, UPXI, what is this news over here says? There we go. Right. Upexi prices $100 million secondary offering to build Solana treasury. And that shit went from $2 to $22 of that news. What is Kids news today? Classover Holdings, which is Kids, the name of the Kids company, right? Are trading higher after the company announced it entered into an equity purchase facility agreement with Solana Strategies Holding. Similar, isn't it? Or a little bit of a similar PR, right? And this is a low floater as well. Hasn't really been running, okay? So you can see that it still went pretty well. I'm not now again. Look, guys, I want to say this again, right? I'm not saying that just because there's Solana PR means it's gonna go crazy. But ever like I said just now, from UPXI Solana PR to now, we haven't had any sort of Solana PR except for today's one. So if companies PR team are smart, all right, if they see that kids do this, right, there is a chance that we might see Solana PR on other companies tomorrow, but they may not be as good anymore because it becomes very oversaturated, right? It's kind of like how initially speaking when BTCT, okay, so BTCT is a Bitcoin ticker, right? And initially back then when Bitcoin had this initial run, BTCT had this very insane move from $1 to $26, right? But this move is done, right? And then in the subsequent few times when Bitcoin was going up, right? I think Frankie was kind of in this as well. When Bitcoin was gearing up, you don't see such an aggravated action anymore. It's at least a little bit slow actually, right? Because why? It's saturated. Right, and same thing, right? There's a reason why WW, right, only went as much as it can. Honestly, for whatever it did, it really did a very nice move, right? But things become saturated. This is small caps, right? Every single day, there's going to be different tickers to trade. You don't expect to trade one ticker only for the rest of the week, right? Things will slow down, volume will rotate out. This is why, things will pull back a little bit. Doesn't mean that it's done. No, right? There's a chance that this thing may make a move tomorrow or maybe not. It's hard to say, right? But the thing is, I will always try to focus on newer setups because that gives me, there is no recent back holders, right? And it will flow a lot better. Like his thing, this is a new setup. Never traded this for the past few weeks, right? And look at this, went insane. This is the first setup today. Yeah, WW that has been trading for multiple days already, right? It is a little bit heavy. It's not like you can get a nice move. You can still get a nice move, but in the grand scheme of things, this one has more potential. And also has more volume as well. Right? So in the morning, okay. So in the morning, once we kind of get more clarity and everything else and stuff like that. Honestly, it was just really between Zcar and it was between Zcar and Kids the entire day. There was nothing else that was really taking attention away from us. Now, so from there you can see that this sticker was just very beautiful, right? VWAP hole over here started having some curling action. If you look at this on the 5-minute, we never once lost the 50 EMA at all. Right, we had a beautiful trend going up into EOD as well. You see that, right? This thing was just a very textbook trend rider setup. But like I said, right? If Zcar broke through the $15 and go crazy, right, volume is going to be inside this. And if volume is inside this, then there will not be volume to sustain this move over here. So, this only can happen because this happened, sort of. Yeah, all right. Okay, so there's that, right? So there's that. So let's talk about RNS. So RNS for me was a very interesting setup. Okay, so now look, my idea is this. All right, my idea is this. If Zcar is just going up nonstop, right, and Kids is just going up nonstop, when will they actually start to break down? You never know. But the higher it goes without any sort of significant pullbacks, right, the harder the fall is going to be, which is what happened over here. And again, you're not going to know. Look, this is all you see, right? Okay, look at this, look at this, look at this, right? It pulls back a little bit, right? And then you see a series of consolidation here, and then suddenly you see this. Damn, you're like, oh my god, it's breaking out. You add it over here, boom, get fucked. Right. And you can't tell me that, oh, I should have held on to it because, man, this shit went down, could have just broke down all the way. Right. You can't tell me that, oh, I should have held on to this after seeing this actually happen. It's not, I mean, if you can see the future, right, then sure, but you can't. And that's the truth. You know that. There's a chance that this could have went down. Right. But you can see all these are way too high. Right. They have so much volume and it has to pull back. I remember what I told you guys before. Price does not move in one straight line. Right? If you want to see re-entries, proper re-entry setup over here, it needs to pull back. Which we got it. But other than that, right, it's very difficult for us to take entries up here when this thing has been running up so much, you know, without any sort of, EMA reset or, momentum reset at all. Right? See, over here, the MACD was just all the way up. There is no reset at all. Very dangerous. Could continue going higher, but still very dangerous. Right, so over here is where we start to, calm down, right? We don't want to be taking this place yet, focus on something else. And the thing is, if, let's say these places does pull back, right? This place does pull back because it's part of a cycle. We need healthy pullbacks for this to make new highs. That's just how it is. Then these pullback action over here might provide us with good volume on another setup that might benefit from this pullbacks over here. At the point of time, for me, RNS was the best one. They had news this morning, right, saying that they report progress in early stage study for lead cancer drug. Again, nothing big, all right? It's only progress. It's not results, nothing. Okay, but the action was good. The volume is good, the action was good. So if you look at this structure over here on the 1 minute chart, right, we can see that there is, very nice stable structure on this 200 EMA over here, right? But the issue is this ticker didn't have the volume. If you guys have been here the entire day, I'm pretty sure you guys know that Zcar and Kids only has the volume today, right? At least consistently speaking. Everything else is kind of a little bit here, but then that's it, right? DRCT as well, a little bit here, and then that's it, right? HCT as well, a little bit here, and then that's it. Right, so same thing for RNS, right? A little bit here, and then that's it, right? So, but you can see that we have very nice consolidation action happening. Okay, price tried to break out, go way back down, but we never lost any. We never really broke down, right? Which is the same reasoning as to Kids, but Kids had volume supporting it, right? So that's why I took entries on RNS. So not this one over here. This was the first one rejected. But after seeing Zcar and RNS and Kids break down a little bit, right? I became more convicted into taking this play. And we can see my stop loss is underneath the 1 minute 200 EMA, right? Which is my rate line over here. And price it went all the way down, but we never lost structure. Recovered, made new highs. For a move today where the volume was concentrated into our two other tickers, amazing move. I was kind of hoping for us to kind of break through into this gap, right? It had a gap on the daily chart. It had a gap on the daily chart. You can see that, right? All the way up to 86 cents. I'm going to draw a box over here for you guys to see. Okay. So price did go inside the gap, but we just don't have the volume to continue pushing through. But still a nice move, right? Once you can see, once we broke through, once we started to break off from this consolidation phase over here, right? When we lost the EMAs, it was over. Okay, but when this thing breaks down, Kids was already pulling back and ready for a reset into a potential EOD move, right? And if we look at this, from far, you can see that what this ticker has is that it has long upper wicks, but it also has long lower wicks, right? So what this means is that the bulls and bears are, fighting for each other for control, right? And then, in such a long tug of war, if one side loses, right, it's going to break down hard, right? Or if it's going to break out hard. And this is what exactly happened right now. Shorts have been trying to push us down the entire day today, right? You see that? But we just never lost overall structure. Price went up, shorts tried to push us down, bulls tried to support the price level, but we never lost structure. And eventually, after hours where the tape is a lot thinner, right? There's no halt, there's no volatility halts. Price is slowly going all the way up right now. And again, we are at, there's not much levels going on from here. You can see that, right? Price, there's no strong candle rejection because this is fairly new. If we go back further down to the smaller time frames, right? There isn't any sort of action for us to play around except for a couple of gaps that happened before. But all right, other than that, I think this is so long as nothing happens, we might see a double-digit move tomorrow. Okay, all right. So there's that. Pretty simple day today, not complicated, right? Very focused set of tickers, which is what I like, right? Very focused set of tickers, which is what I like. So there's that. All right, I'm gonna stop the recording right now, and I hope Rutu is still here. Okay, I'm gonna answer Rutu question. So